So you were born in Puerto Rico, right?
Yes, I remember.
Do you remember?
Jauco. I was born in Jauco. I was born in Jauco, part of Ranchera, part of Jauco. It's called that, like, little places they call different names, like a couple blocks away. So I was born in, oh my God, it was a beautiful thing. I was born
Tell us a story. You got any stories when you were young, when you were over there?
when I was there. Yeah, I used to love to run down the mountain.
There's a lot of mountains over there.
Here, high mountains.
Wait, did you live close to the beaches or anything like that?
No, we were at real like in the middle of
The middle of the island?
the thing and I remember going out to my aunt's house. She used to live on the mountain, but on the other side of the mountain. We used to go all the way up there to see her. They had they had like a place we stopped all the time, and the guy always selling bread and butter.
Bread and butter out there?
Up there, when we got up to the mountain, we used to love to go up the mountain to go the bread and butter.
Well, a lot of Puerto Ricans love to drink coffee with bread, butter, crackers, and butter.
Yeah. So I remember doing a lot of that, going to my aunt's house. I remember one time I wanted to help her. She was picking up coffee beans. So I went to try to help her coffee beans, and I stopped up on a glass.
You stepped on the glass?
And a bottle, somebody broke a bottle, and I stepped and I cut my feet.
Well, you told me that you guys didn't have a lot of shoes and stuff when you were young, right?
No, we were mountain people. You know how like mountain here we were? We were using we had shoes only to go out, you know what I mean? But not to like have any extra stuff like now we do anyway.
You guys didn't have like extra shoes?
Yeah, I mean, we had maybe 2 pairs, but that was it, you know what I mean?
What about clothes?
We used to work barefooted a lot.
Did you guys work in the fields? What they had coffee bean fields? That's really what it was, right?
I don't remember much of that field. I remember my mom had the house here, my grandma had her here, my aunt had her here. So we were all together. It was like 4 houses all together.
The whole family lived close to each other?
Close to each other.
What about your grandma?
My grandma lived on the bottom part of the
Her and your
mountain.
grandpa?
Yeah, at the bottom part of the mountain. We used to go down the mountain, running down the mountain to the river. They used to have a pond, and the pond there had a lot of fish. So we all used to go fish there for the fish. We went to fish for the pond.
That's what you guys used to eat, the fishes?
Oh,
Cook them?
yeah, it was so beautiful. Then you used to go like, okay, I'm going down the mountain, and there's a guayaba, and there's a apple, and there's a mango, and then,
A lot of fruit trees everywhere?
Yeah, fruit tree all over. All we did was eat it. It's to go down this way like this, to go up the other side of the river, the mountain.
So all your family came from that town in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, most of us.
So you came to the United States around, what, 1948?
1948. It was what? 4th of July.
4th of July? And you came with a couple of your brothers and your sisters? Or
My uncle.
Your uncle? You didn't come with none of your brothers or your sisters were with you?
No, I had Benny with me. And Rose. I think it was, Benny and Rose, because we were the 3 olders.
So when you came to Chicago, you couldn't find your mom right away, right?
No, and we came. My grandmother, she didn't know anything. We were from the mountain. We didn't know nothing about cities or airplane, nothing. So she decided, well, I'll put her on the plane, and they get there, It's like, okay.
You'll find her.
It's next stop. She didn't know that she put us on the
She didn't know she took you to New York, right?
And she us to New York.
So you got to New York, and they did a donation, a restaurant, right? A man did a donation to get you guys over
Yeah,
here.
we got to the, what you call it, to the airport. So my uncle was about 17 years old, and he told the guy, because they were speaking Spanish, because Europe was like Puerto Rico anyway, more or less, everybody was Spanish, and so he stopped at this guy and he talked to the guy. He says, "Could you tell me how to get to Chicago?" He says, "Well, you know what? You gotta take a bus to go to Chicago."
Yeah.
So we didn't know what to do. So he kept talking to the guy at he owned a restaurant, and so he was so kind. He took us to his restaurant. He fed us. He let us sleep in there. Made a collection. Sent us to Chicago.
On a bus. Okay, so when you got to Chicago and you couldn't find your mom right away, how did you find her?
Well, we went. It was at like midnight. We went, and it was the 4th of July. And we went to look where my mother lived, and she moved out.
She moved out? So you had an address for her at least, right? Or she just moved out? So you guys end up coming across somebody else, and they knew where your grandmother was at. They knew where your mother was at.
Yeah, so we came by, and we were in a taxi, and we went to where she was living. She wasn't there. So we keep running around in the taxi, and here comes a man. He was kind of had a little bit of drink. Because it was a weekend, they had.
It was 4th of July, yeah.
Yeah. So we asked him, say, "Do you know where Clara Martinez moved to?" She said, "Yeah, I know." He said, "That's something." So he took us where she lived.
You know what neighborhood she was? What neighborhood that was that she lived at? Where streets are around where she lived at the time?
It's not like on Harrison.
On Harrison?
Yeah,
on Western?
No, Harrison and Loomis.
Loomis? Oh, yeah, it's a little more down.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So he said yes. But we met her, and we met him at how you call that? Van Buren and Ashland.
Van Buren and Ashland?
Rest in Ashland.
You were 12 years old, right?
Yeah. And we asked him, was nobody in the street but him. He was coming down from, I guess, having the, but we asked him, said, "Do you know Clara Martinez?" He said, "Yes, I do." We asked, "Do you know what she moved to?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Wasn't it like the Lord put everything in
place?
Place.
Led you guys right to your mom.
Yeah.
So when you were 12, when you first got here, what kind of job? Did you start working right away, or what did you do?
I started working, I was about 12 years old when I started working in a factory where they make paint. And they know I was young, so they didn't put me to work hard. So I had, they were putting the can of paint, and I was just putting like papers on top, the colors and stuff like that. That's how I started working.
They didn't pay you much though, right? Maybe.
No, Jesus, I think it was like 75 cents.
A day or an hour?
An hour.
An hour?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's when it started.
Rent and everything was real cheap back then, right?
Yeah, everything was cheap.
So after you went to work and stuff, you took care of your brothers and sisters while your mom worked?
I did take care of my brothers and sisters when my mom worked. We went to school, and I was a devil.
How long did you go to school? What grade did you go to school up to?
Well, we went to school there, and they put us to school there. I was always a fighter. I was always fighting. Oh my God, I was terrible.
Your mom. Go ahead. Your mom. So she got married a couple times, right? When you were young.
Yeah.
Did you get along with her husbands, or?
They treated us good.
They treated you good.
I cannot complain on none of them. And they I would not say they
Abused you or
they were
anything like
fresh
that?
or anything with us. They just treated us like
Your
their
kids,
own
like
kids.
her own kids, like their kids. So so you got along with them. I heard she married the same person a couple times, right?
Yeah.
So she said she kept going back to him, or was that her true
No,
love?
it's Louis.
Louis? And whose dad was that?
Carmen's.
Carmen's dad?
Carmen did.
So it was only Carmen with him, or?
No, Carmen was always with my mom. We were all together.
But he only had one daughter with your mom? Just Carmen?
Yeah, he had Carmen. Well, he had daughters before in Puerto Rico.
From a different
other
woman?
person, but I don't know.
So did she stay married to him, or he passed away, or she got a divorce?
No, they got divorced and then they got married again. I think they got married about 2 times.
Got married 2 times and got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So your husband, you met your husband, he came from Puerto Rico when he was like 16. So he worked for your mom? That's how you met him?
I met him because my cousin came from Puerto Rico to be my mother's cook in her restaurant.
Oh, so he was the cook in your mom's restaurant?
Yeah. So when he came over, he brought him at the same time. He talked to him, told him, oh, let's go to Chicago, you know what I mean? So he decided to come to Chicago. And he came to my house to live.
Oh, so he stood with grandma, great-grandma, your mother. How did she feel about you marrying him? Or
Oh, my mother hated him.
she hated him after, but she took him in.
She hated him. Because she didn't want him for me to be married. I mean, she wanted me to,
Did she feel like he was going to take you away from her?
No, it's just that she wanted a better life, you know what I mean? You know how mothers are, parents are, they always want a daughter to marry somebody
They don't
else.
feel like that person's going to do good for their daughter.
Yeah.